Oh, hi everyone. We are live now. Welcome to the weekly show of Classroom Without Walls, using technology to reimagine education. My name is I'm the host of this weekly show. I created this show because I believe our society has changed a lot. Social media and technology play a huge role in our changing society. As educators, we need to change how we teach and how we interact with our students. On this show, I interview leading professionals and educators like Nick Thicket. Did I say right? And regarding issues related to social media, technology, education, change, and disruption. If you are new to the show, I saw that we have quite a few friends here. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you are a returning attendee, you know how much I love you. I appreciate you. And if you are watching this on replay, hi, future people. Thank you so much for checking this out. And today I'm so honored to have Nick join us. He is a social media consultant and a growth and revenue consultant and a community building specialist. He is also an amazing educator. So I'm so honored that you are here with us today, Nick, to share content creation and community building so that you can rock your community building effort in 2018. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show, Nick.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And it's funny that you started out with we talked about the social media and the selling and some of the different elements that come into it. And then you're talking about education. The funny thing is, that's what it's all becoming.
Mm-hmm.
Education. We're now becoming educators. The thing that maybe differentiates us from other educators is presentation and entertainment. Has anyone ever been, and just think about this yourself, and if you want to comment, you're more than welcome to. Do you remember that one person from high school or junior high that was just a phenomenal teacher? Just that one person.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of one, and that was Miss Lorenz. And it wasn't that she was the smartest teacher that I ever had. It's that she cared, and she was there to present. She always watched her audience like a great public speaker, and she always showed up. So if, somebody was a little more goofy, then she'd be a little more goofy. If people were a little more quiet, she'd be a little more quiet. But she always interacted with the crowd. And that's how social media is moving, is that we're becoming educators. And we've seen that from our Twitter chats and also our chats, that we were just talking about it, that it's easy to get lost in all the noise. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I totally agree. And also, I think the reason I'm so passionate about education was when I was in middle school. Before that, I was not a good student, but there was one teacher, she really cared about me. She really believed in me. And she even put me into a leadership position. I was like, wow. And she really forced me to become who I am today. I'm forever grateful for that. Yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah. I also want to give a quick shout out to many of my friends here. Darren's here. Thank you so much. Dorothy, Lisa, and Shval, Dorothy, and my new friend, Antonios from Greece. Oh my God. Thank you so much. And Des from UK. And Paul, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We are going to have an amazing discussion with Nick regarding content creation and community building. If you have any questions, please type your questions in the comment section, and I'm going to make sure to answer all of the questions. And we are also going to end our show around 30 minutes to respect everyone's time. Are you ready to start, Nick?
Absolutely. Let's do this.
Okay, awesome. And everyone in the audience, if you don't mind, give this show a share and let me know, like, if you haven't, where you are joining us from. That will be greatly appreciated. And what is community building? And what does community building mean to you in today's digital age?
So that is a great question, because if you're the person that's just starting out, you want to find your voice. I know you're looking at all the different people. Maybe you're finding the people that have a big following. But is that the right place to start? Maybe not, because people can buy followers. But what about the people getting lots of engagement? Well, those people are hard to find too. So what is a community? Community is centered around whether it's a common belief, common values, common interest. And that is why it is so important to know who your audience is, who you want to build as your community. Because I might have a massive following, but if that's not my tribe, if that's not my community, we're not going to get anywhere, and there's going to be no value. It's like having somebody that goes and sits in your classroom that has no interest in being part of that conversation. They ruin the atmosphere for everyone. So that's why it's so important when you're building this sense of community that you're not doing it too fast and you're picking and choosing your players. And you're a great example for Twitter chats. You are the motivator, and you go in there and you find the right people and you go and rile them up like a good cheerleader. You do such a fantastic job of that. I know Madeline, everybody appreciates it. That's what makes you stand out. And I don't know if anybody's ever told you, but I hope you know that. You're a great community builder. And you even in the Twitter chats, if you go back through and look, you have your own sub community because you're doing that. It's through engagement, because you're finding the people that resonate with you. You are a community builder.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you.
But when you're building the sense of community, you gotta be very, very careful who you're picking and stick to maybe one, if not two audience profiles. Because if you get too wide, then you're fighting everyone else and you're using generic hashtags, and it's not relevant information, because then at that point you're just talking to a stranger.
Yeah, that is such a great point. And I think it is also a mistake I made. I'm not sure people in the audience, when I just started my social media journey, I was trying to be all over the place. I was trying to follow everyone. I was trying to chase after every shiny object that is out there. And I was just so scattered. I really don't have a community. It feels like I was connected with everyone, but at the same time, I was not making any deeper, meaningful connections with anyone. So this is such a great point, and really be focused. And this is my goal for the new year, be really focused with my networking and getting to know more of the people who are already in my community. That's why I love to send the videos after the chat to people to just connect with them further. Yeah, that's such a great answer.
And you've even done a great job with Facebook, how we had talked about tagging the people in your community that'll appreciate it the most. So maybe you're highlighting them because they're great at it. You do not have to be the expert at everything. So if you know that somebody, say, is really good at Twitter, maybe you're getting even more specific and you're going to say Twitter chats. Maybe you're going to go and tag Madeline. Or maybe you're going to focus on video, and you're going to say overall, maybe you're going to look at Chris Cubby. Like, you've done a really good job at giving people a compliment by tagging them, and also adding the people in that'll get the most value from that post as well.
Yeah, like I remember we discussed this. Do you mind sharing this really useful tactic with the audience in terms of community building and what you did? Nick shared this with me, and I started to implement this after he shared this with me, and it really worked.
Yeah, well, you'll have to go and we'll tag a few people in it, and we'll give them an example of how quickly, and what we can show too, and I can show with Grow Social, the difference between not doing it versus doing it on the actual analytics, the insights. So it's one thing for us to tell you, but I'd love to show you, because it makes that big of a difference.
Yes, definitely. And maybe this is a good time to transition to our next question. During one of our small talks, you mentioned that you made quite a few mistakes in the earlier days when you were trying to build a community for yourself. And can you please share with us what are some of those mistakes and how we can learn from your mistakes, and so that we can avoid them and be better at community building?
Absolutely. So first things first, I wanted to appeal to everyone. So I was focusing on business and like all the trending hashtags that were big. The problem with chasing hashtags is they're not niche people. They're not always there. they're following the trends as well, and they're navigating their way through, and they're not really getting anywhere because they're not dedicated to the conversation. Some of them are bots. Some of them are people that are just using it for promo. So they're just building their following in order to go and create their marketing funnels. So I was way too broad. I did not know who my audience was, and I was too scared to go and pick, that little spot that I wanted to fit in. So maybe 1, 2, 3 people that I wanted to speak directly to and add value with every post. And it wasn't until I saw, I can't remember who had said it, but he was talking about, would people be willing to pay for your content? Right, content so good people are willing to pay for it. I was like, that is a very interesting point. But how do you do that if you're not very targeted? And so if I can go and say one thing that I wasted a ton of time, I would say in the ballpark of 2 to 3 years, was not getting specific, thinking I was going to be leaving opportunities on the table. And it was far from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I did, and we actually just touched on this a little bit earlier, was trying to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about, I haven't seen our audience profile from today, and I'm not sure how many people are entrepreneurs, even just busy professionals. There's only so much we can do in the day, right? So you got to really pick and choose. So for me, I was trying to do, after I figured out, I could use Facebook, I could use Instagram, I could do LinkedIn, I could do YouTube, I could do everything under the sun. There was all these different options. Medium, like they all pop up. There's Periscope when it came up. Like there's so many. But the reality is, if you don't pick and stay focused, your community gets lost. And Chelsea Cross is a great example of that. Her primary is Twitter. She takes her Twitter and puts it to LinkedIn, and now she's playing more on Instagram. So you got to stay focused, or it just doesn't work. You're going to waste a lot of time, get frustrated, and spin your wheels.
Yeah, I so great. Unless you have a social media community, like a team to help you repurposing content, to help you be everywhere. Because we hear so many gurus telling us you need to be this place on that place. This place is like the place right now. And I'm curious to see how our audience think about this. So please type in the comments, what do you think about this? Do you prefer to be all over the place, or like what is your strategy? Choose and focus, or just being everywhere? And I'm just really curious to learn more from our audience, and see what is your approach to this. And just showing some of the comments here. Antonio said that focus should be on engagement. I totally agree with you. I used to be looking at only numbers, but now I don't even look at my numbers that much in terms of how many people are following me, but I look more at engagement. And Shvo said, choose the right audience every time when you are building your social media community. And I think our goal is to have our content show up in front of the right people at the right time. And with that, we need to have the right people in our audience. And Zala also made a really great point, and she said that like Twitter chats, I totally agree with her. So her point was that Twitter chats really brought like lots of amazing people to our lives, but to cultivate deeper relationships, like we need to do more and select a few to go further. And I really agree with her.
I agree as well.
And
somebody had mentioned Gary Vee as I was kind of scrolling through. If you haven't heard of it, yeah, Darren, you had mentioned it. So if you don't know who Gary Vee is, I'm sorry, you've missed out. You got to go and figure it out because it'll add value to your life. But if I can pick one thing, because he is a phenomenal speaker, is go and look at his $1.80 strategy. Because and I think, were we talking about this the other day? I
don't think so. I don't remember, but I watched
really quick.
Yes.
Jump into the next question. But yes. I've done this for years, and all it is just after reading Dale Carnegie had said genuine appreciation. So just saying great post and like generic comments adds no value because people can see through it really quickly. but Gary Vee did a really good job of highlighting this, and it's add your 2 cents on 90 posts. So 90 times 2 cents is your $1.80. And all he's saying is give genuine appreciation to the people around you, whether in the hashtags that you want to be known for, or just offering value in which you have insight to give them. So Dale Carnegie also said about always give a speech on what you know the most about, what you're qualified to speak about. Go give that advice away. That advice, especially on social media, can be magnified. So instead of one person saying it face to face, thousands. Like this, we have 10 people viewing live right now. There's nothing to say, like my LinkedIn videos, that it can't be 500, 600, 700 within 3 days. So the $1.80 strategy, look into it. It works very, very well.
Yeah, I highly recommend. And I saw that video, like I think someone texted me on Twitter. And so what he was saying is that just go to Instagram profile and do a hashtag search. Every time when you search a hashtag, for example, I search education, ed tech, like education technology, hashtag all the time. Every time when you search, there will be 9 posts like coming up, and he was recommending you just comment on every single post. And I also started to apply this strategy to Twitter. You know, on Twitter, when you are doing like a search, and Twitter is so good at curating content for you. And for me, I have 2 categories. One is education, another one is marketing. So every day I just make like about 10 or 20 minutes to engage with people who are like being like mentioned as the top under the category of education and under the category of marketing. And it has been amazing. Friends, I'm telling you, you need to do this. And I got connected with some top people. And because I'm engaging with them on a daily basis, not only did I learn a lot, and they just remember your name. It is just so amazing. And definitely give this a try and share with us later how this is working for you. And Shvo mentioned, yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to say the funny thing too is that you don't actually have to agree with them either.
Yes.
You can have a great conversation on your point of view. A person that's a professional, that's at that caliber, does not take offense to it. They see it as an opportunity to learn or teach. One or the other. So
absolutely.
Don't be afraid to throw your 2 cents in there, but don't be afraid to get criticism, constructive criticism, or find out that maybe you've been looking at it the wrong way. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. Definitely. Just like I think what I learned from being on social media is just be yourself. You know, there's only one person can create the content that is unique, and that is you, you know, and just voice your opinions. And earlier you were talking about LinkedIn, and Shvo mentioned that because his audience is not there, he has never like use the LinkedIn video. And I noticed that, Nick, recently you are starting to spend more time producing more videos on LinkedIn. So how has this been working for you? Anything you want to share with us?
So LinkedIn, I know people say that certain platforms aren't for certain people, and I would disagree up to a certain point. LinkedIn is definitely a lot better for B2B or reaching professionals. And something like Facebook would be better for B2C. And they mimic each other to a certain degree as well. So just because you're focusing on one doesn't necessarily mean you have to go and focus on the other. So it's up to you. Like, I'm not going to force you to go and pick one over the other. I love LinkedIn because I came from cold calling. I would pick up the phone and make 100 to 120 phone calls a day with people that had no idea who I was, sometimes didn't even recognize my area code. So I come from a very different world. LinkedIn was just an easy way to get in touch with them. And bringing this all back to education and community this was my opportunity to go and have a one-on-one conversation through video, because video includes a lot more than just word choice. And if anybody goes and looks at the Science of People, something worth looking into, the Science of People stated when they did their study that less than 8% of communication was word choice. Mm-hmm. So now I get to have a very in-depth conversation with my tribe on a platform that I have carefully chosen who I want to be connected with. So those people, kind of like what we talked about just with Twitter, my carefully networked community is more likely to like that content. They're more likely to get value from that content. And I know those demographics. So I'm going to have a very, very in-depth, close conversation with them that's going to hit home. So they're going to share it. They're going to like it. And it just grows. So for example, I was playing with different styles of video, and I was getting about 25 to 40 views in the first day. Did you see my challenge video? I got challenged.
No.
So I got challenged to go and teach because people kept telling me that LinkedIn is useless, and to prove that it's not. And I was like, I would love that challenge. I'm in. So I just put a challenge video out. In less than 24 hours, I had 500 views on that, or I had 350 views, and I had quite a few after that. So
wow.
I want to challenge all of you. Stop taking videos until you're ready to entertain. The biggest difference between you and everyone else out there is your ability to capture their attention. If you cannot capture their attention with more than just education, you've lost them. They can get that anywhere. What about you is going to go and bring them back and make them want more? Are they going to want to go in? Is it your personality? Is it sarcasm? Is it humor? Like, what is it about you? Because that's the big difference. Is what about you that brings you back? Why do you watch Gary Vee? Why do you watch Covey? Why do you take part of the Twitter chats? Which Twitter chats do you pick? Whose style of conversation do you love the most? Think about all those things, write them down, and tell your story. Yeah, Darren, absolutely. Storytelling. And before you start telling your story, earn the right to speak. So what's your hook? You nailed it. What is your hook that's going to get their attention? What about you, or what about them, even better yet? What about them what are you offering to them that they just cannot miss in this conversation?
It's just like, oh, I love this, like really great points. And can you please share with us that 500 views? Pretty impressive. How did you gain that organically? Just like you showed good content and also showing your personality. Is that
so? I use hooks. So I did go in. I was like, so I've been challenged, and you're not going to want to miss this. And then I spaced it out, but it was just storytelling. I just told what happened. And then I had a video that explained the challenge, and that's all it was. But it was very much, it wasn't polished, it wasn't corporate, it was me. It was emotion, just sharing how I felt, sharing what I was going to do. The funny part is, when I usually go and take a video or make a post, I will link people to it. I did not link a single person. So that thing took off by itself. And the only thing that I did different between that post and other posts was I wrote it going through as if I was you looking at it. I really thought of like, what would get my attention? I went through like Facebook ads, just scrolling down Facebook, what caught my attention, scrolling through Twitter, and just did that. And it worked. I'm going to warn you, it takes more time.
Yes, definitely. This is such a great point in terms of storytelling, and reminded me of a podcast interview I listened to a few months ago. And in that interview, they interviewed someone who is an amazing storyteller, and she shared her top secret in terms of creating amazing stories is using hooks, as you mentioned at the beginning, creating like information gap in your storytelling. Like, for example, you mentioned I was being challenged and there is an information gap, like people will be interested. Oh, what is that? So definitely everyone in the audience, please apply this strategy. This really works. 500 views organically on LinkedIn. That is very impressive to me. And I love what Darren mentioned here. And he's definitely going to be spending more time on LinkedIn. This is also high five my New Year resolution. And I'm just going to be more like focus on LinkedIn, especially given my audience, like education professionals, and they are on LinkedIn. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We are almost approaching the end of our interview, just like respecting everyone's time. Mm-hmm. And I also want to ask you this question. You have recently started your own consulting business about a year ago, right? Based on what I saw on LinkedIn. And we also have a few people in the audience who have also launched their own independent consulting business. And so what are some of the challenges that you have encountered in going independent, Nick? And how do you gain clients? So if you can just quickly share with us, that would be greatly appreciated.
Number one lesson that all of you guys need to learn is charge for your time. When you're a business, you're not even just charging for your time, you're charging for others people's time as well. That extra amount of money you're charging is a buffer to go and create quality work. As you get better and you have a bigger track record behind you, that goodwill portion of your rate will increase. But if you don't charge enough and you think that you're charging a little too much, you're in the wrong spot. And being an entrepreneur is not for you. You know why there's only a few really big marketing ad houses in all of North America? Because they don't have the goodwill to charge the rates that they need to do the market research, to even be qualified to start talking. Mm-hmm. They're not ready to go and put the ads in place because they don't know their audience profiles. Mm-hmm. So there's all these different things that come into it. But if I can tell you one thing, charge for your time. Mm-hmm. I even charge for my initial meetings because I go in there ready with my market research and audience profiles, and I'm ready to run from day one.
Wow.
So just something to think about. And sorry, what was the second part of your question?
I think as how did you gain clients? Like how do you find people who want to work with you? Yeah.
So something that everyone needs to dig into is marketing funnels. It is your responsibility to create an experience for your buyer. Right now, we are in buyer-driven markets, meaning whether it's your website, it's your social media, whatever medium in which you're communicating with them, you need to go and give them the journey. You need to go and design from start to finish how they interact with your brand. So why marketing funnels? Because marketing funnels will show you how far through the process they're going. Another beautiful thing about marketing funnels is I can tell you exactly what they cost. Mm-hmm. So for example, if I know that 50 people saw a Twitter post for a low number and only 2 people clicked on the link, I need to work on that.
Yeah.
But if say 10 people saw the post and 9 people clicked on it, something worked.
Yeah.
So I use social media primarily, and the one thing that everybody discounts is their network. And why I can use my network is because I know who I'm talking to. So I'll give you an example. I think of somebody that is a plumber that lives in your hometown that you just moved recently. That might be a little bit harder to.
It's okay.
But if I go in, like, the more details I list, it's easier. If I say, name one good friend that you went to school with in high school that you knew for at least 3 years. Can you think of one person?
Yes.
If I told you to name somebody that went to school to be a doctor, could you name someone?
Yeah. Yes.
It's harder, right? Because
definitely.
I didn't do as many things.
Yeah. Vague.
So this goes back to the question you asked me before. When you're not focused, when you don't know who you're talking to, you actually lose out on more opportunities because people can tell that you're not talking to them. It's like talking to a stranger.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree. Like, great comments here. And also I love this comment from Antonio's, and he mentioned that he talks about authenticity. It is so true. I think reflecting on my own journey for some time, and I think I was just trying to be someone else and being influenced by the influencers, and I was losing my own voice. And definitely you need to be authentic in your storytelling, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable. And every time when I cried or when I showed tears, when I really share my challenges, I got the best engagement ever. So I think it shows that people love that type of content. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
My last question here. I love people who are both educators and practitioners, and you are also an amazing educator. I remember during one of our small talks, you were talking about how you inspire your students. I was really inspired. So I want to ask you, how does playing the role of being an educator or being a practitioner influence the other role? Like, what is the connection between the two, and how do they like affect each other positively or maybe not, or negatively?
It's a good question. So with the internet and social media and every different resource to get information, people attract to people and they have these magnets. So we have to become educators to a certain degree, or else you just get lost.
Mm-hmm.
In sales, before we used to have to go and hunt because all we had was our cell phone and our email, and then we'd get in our cars and drive. That's not how it works anymore. Now, people seek you out as an authority in that niche. So they actually come to you. So it is your job to go and put out content directly for them, whether you're using all the different mechanisms like we talked about, storytelling and hooks. But you have to use all of that to build that tribe, that community who ultimately become your customers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not an educator and take some form of entertainment, it just won't work for you. It doesn't matter if it's in the classroom. It doesn't matter if you're in the office looking for clients. It doesn't matter if you're marketing to your client base or marketing for a big company. They all go hand in hand. So if you're not thinking about how I can be an educator, combining with how I'm going to keep them hooked, how I'm going to keep them entertained, you probably don't deserve your following. And you'll
Yeah.
watch it's going to fluctuate quite rapidly because that's the market we're in.
It is so true. I remember some of those classes I attended when I was a student, even though the teacher was like amazing. And the only thing the teacher did was like kind of a monotone and just like lecture, like so many words on the slides. Half of the class was asleep. It was not effective storytelling at all. I love how you mentioned that educators, to a great extent, we also need to be like storytellers, have our hook, be able to like to some extent entertain our students. And I think that means to really show our personality. Like, I am a passionate person. Whatever I do, I bring my passion to my storytelling. And I always have students like comment in the teaching review section that they love my passion, and that is like influencing them, affecting them to be more interested in the subject. I think this apply to offline communication and online communication, social media communication. Be who you are and show your personality. And it's such a great point, Nick. Thank you. Yeah.
Think about it like this. You get curriculum. Nobody tells you how to teach that curriculum. All of you guys know something, whether it's about social media, maybe it's particularly about Twitter, maybe it's about Facebook. You all know something. You're all an authority in something. So you have your
Absolutely.
curriculum.
Absolutely.
How are you
Absolutely.
going to deliver it?
Absolutely. And just one last comment before we wrap up here. Yesterday, I was able to have a really great discussion with one person, an influencer in the education consulting space. And he told me, like, you don't have to be an expert to go out to teach someone something. You only need to be a few steps before the people, like ahead of the people who are below you. And it is just so encouraging to hear, resonating with what you shared here, Nick. Yes, definitely. Absolutely. And I love this comment from Zella. And we need to find our true value and true purpose, and just follow those lines and be who we are, and bring value to others. Yes. So just to wrap up, this is such an amazing conversation. And one parting piece of advice, and how can we discover more about you, Nick?
Know your audience. Describe them like either your best friend sitting across the table from you. in vivid detail. Know how they act, know what they wear, know what they like. Get personal. Know as much as you possibly can. Then go out and talk to them. Pretend with every single message you're putting out there, whether it's an article or a post, that it's directly to them, and watch it change. The best place to find me is my tag at nthickett. So NTHICKETT. That's on Twitter, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Nicholas Thickett. I get about 10 to 15 connection requests a day. So if you would like me to add you, please write a personal invitation. Because sometimes I don't have time to scroll through, and you'll sit there waiting for me to review that connection for a while. So please send a connection request.
That's a great point. That's the first step of building connection, personalize your message. Yes. Mm-hmm. And thank you so much for this great interview. And I learned a lot. And just like an announcement, I'm leaving for China on Monday because my children are off school. So I won't be able to have access to Wi-Fi because in China, everything is censored. And so I'm going to stop my show for 2 weeks, and we are going to resume this live show on January 3rd. And I'm going to have Brent Fenzel, iSocial Fans, as my guest of honor to start the new year and talking about change predictions, education, future, and disruption for sure, if you follow Brent Fenzel. So definitely, I hope you can join us on January 3rd. If not, everyone have an amazing holiday, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. I'm sending you lots of love and like awesomeness and hugs. Thank you so much for the support to my show and everything. I love you guys.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you so much, Nick. And I will see you online.
Sounds good. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.